Right now, while you're watching this, a weather pattern is forming that will rewrite 150 years of Christmas records. And what's coming next week could send temperatures plunging 50 degrees in just 48 hours. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly which day to avoid travel, which roads will become ice traps, and why meteorologists are calling this the most unpredictable holiday week in modern history. But first, let me show you something that will shock you. 50 different cities are about to break their all-time Christmas temperature records. Not in 10 years, not next month, this Christmas Day. And here's what nobody's talking about. The warmest Christmas on record is just the beginning. In exactly 30 seconds, I'm going to reveal which major city could hit 90 degrees on Christmas morning. Stay with me. Oklahoma City, Dallas, and parts of Texas could see temperatures in the low 90s on Christmas Day. Think about that for a moment. 90-degree weather when children should be building snowmen. This isn't just unusual. This is biblical. And remember, these records date back to 1880. That's 145 years of data, 145 Christmases, and this one will be the warmest. But here's the twist nobody saw coming. 3 days after the warmest Christmas in history, an Arctic blast will crash through the northern plains with temperatures 40 degrees below average. From summer to winter in 72 hours. How does that even happen? The answer lies in something called a heat dome. Right now, a massive bubble of warm air is sitting over the entire United States like a lid on a pot. Temperatures are 40 degrees above average from Los Angeles to central Illinois. Atlanta is affected. Kansas City, Oklahoma City, all under this unprecedented heat. But nature has a way of balancing itself. And when this balance comes, it comes with fury. Let me paint you a picture of what's happening right now. There's hardly any snow on the ground anywhere in America except the higher elevations of the Rockies, the upper Midwest, the northern plains, and the Northeast. For late December, this is extraordinary. South Dakota will see temperatures in the 50s and 60s on Christmas Eve. Iowa, the same. Illinois will feel more like April than December. We're talking about 50s and 60s across the heartland. But look at this data point. This is important. When you wake up Christmas morning, low temperatures will be in the 50s and 60s all across the Ohio Valley, the Southern Plains, and the Southeast. Most areas will have their warmest Christmas morning on record. Think about your grandparents, your great-grandparents. Every Christmas they ever experienced. This one will be warmer. Kansas City is forecasted to reach 69 degrees on Christmas Day. St. Louis is on the cusp of a record-breaking temperature. It depends on cloud cover and frontal boundaries. Some models showed 70 to 75 degrees just 2 days ago. Now they're saying 60. But either way, it's record territory. And here's where God's hand becomes visible in all of this. Throughout Scripture, we see seasons and weather as signs. Jesus himself said in Luke 12:54, "When you see a cloud rising in the west, you say at once, a shower is coming." He taught us to read the signs. What signs are we seeing now? The heat continues after Christmas for a couple more days. Then, as we approach New Year's, Arctic air spills south. Areas as far south as Jacksonville and Tallahassee, Florida could see temperatures below freezing. Some areas might even see snow. This is the pattern that has scientists concerned. Not frightened, concerned. Because rapid temperature swings create dangerous conditions. Now, at the 3-minute 20 mark, I promised you something special. Here it is. I'm going to walk you through the 3 separate storm systems that will impact America during the holiday week. And the third one is the one that could trap millions of travelers. Storm system number 1 begins on the West Coast. Heavy rain is continuing right now and will persist through Christmas Day. It's going to be messy and sloppy along the entire West Coast. But Santa's flight path? Completely clear. He'll make his deliveries without issue. However, here's the concern. Back over in the Los Angeles area, we're looking at catastrophic rainfall, 10 to 15 inches in some locations, and this is within 48 to 60 hours. That's not a normal rain event. That's a flood event. The Palisades burned scar area is particularly vulnerable. When you have burned vegetation, the soil can't absorb water properly. Everything runs off. This creates debris flows, mudslides, flash flooding. And in the Sierra Nevada mountains, where snow does fall, we could see over 100 inches. That's more than 8 feet of snow. In 2.5 days, turn around, don't drown. If you're on the roadways out west tomorrow, it will be dangerous. Storm system number 2 hits the Northeast on Christmas Day. White snowflakes may be flying across northern New England, perhaps near Long Island, 3 to 6 inches across Maine, New Hampshire, and Vermont. Southern Maine could see localized amounts higher. But it's storm system number 3 that concerns me most, and here's why. Late Christmas Day, things get interesting in the upper Midwest. Squeezed between a low-pressure system and a high-pressure system, a band of moisture comes straight out of Canada. This could be a powerful Alberta Clipper, and Alberta Clippers are notorious for rapid intensification. This system brings a mix: freezing rain, snow, sleet, regular rain, all at once, in different locations. This is the kind of complexity that makes travel treacherous. Christmas night, moderate to heavy snow falls across the upper Midwest and the Great Lakes. Then, freezing rain ramps up overnight into early Friday morning in central Wisconsin and southwestern Michigan near Kalamazoo. When freezing rain is heavy, ice accumulation becomes significant, and significant ice accumulation means power outages. Downed trees, impassable roads. During Friday daytime, the snow pushes east along with the freezing rain and sleet. Pennsylvania, New Jersey, Maryland, New York, Long Island, Connecticut, all in the crosshairs. Heavy snow is on the table, mainly near New York City and northern New Jersey. Freezing rain and sleet are possible in Pennsylvania and Maryland, including Washington, D.C. Let me be specific about the ice threat. We're not talking about a light glaze. We're talking about 1/10 of an inch across much of Pennsylvania, Maryland, and areas south of Buffalo. In some spots, particularly around Detroit and Kalamazoo, 1/10 to 1/4 of an inch is possible. Ice storm criteria require over 1/4 of an inch. We might hit that threshold in isolated areas. What does 1/4 of an inch of ice do? It snaps tree branches. It brings down power lines. It turns highways into skating rinks. Untreated roads become impassable. And remember, this happens during the busiest travel period of the year, the day after Christmas. When everyone's driving to visit family or heading home, by Saturday, the system moves out. But the damage may already be done. Here's the snowfall forecast. I want you to listen carefully because models have been inconsistent. Anywhere in the affected area should expect at least 3 to 6 inches of snow. Localized areas could see 10 to 12 inches. The European model shows the same locations but less significant snowfall. New Jersey, eastern Pennsylvania, Long Island, southern New York. These are where the heaviest snow will fall. 8 to 10 inches is a more realistic maximum right now. But snowfall predictions can change rapidly. We're still a couple days out. That's why you need to check back tomorrow. Now, beyond this immediate storm, there's something else developing. Late Saturday and Sunday, a pretty powerful storm system moves across Canada. If this were any further south, we'd have a major winter storm in the Midwest and Northeast. Instead, it's pushing Arctic air into the United States, some of the coldest weather we've seen all winter. This Arctic blast eventually spreads along the entire East Coast as we approach New Year's. Florida, Georgia, the Carolinas, all the way to New England, everyone feels it. Let me give you some perspective on why this matters spiritually. In Genesis 8:22, God promises, while the earth remains, seed time and harvest, cold and heat, summer and winter, day and night shall not cease. These patterns remind us of His faithfulness. Even in extreme weather, there's order, there's design. The heat dome we're experiencing now will break. The Arctic air will arrive. The seasons will continue. This is God's promise to us. But we must be wise stewards of the information He provides. That's why I'm taking time to break this down for you in detail. Let's talk about what happens after New Year's. Right now, we're not eyeing any major winter storms immediately after January 1st, but that could change. We're still over 7 days out. Weather patterns beyond a week are notoriously difficult to predict. What we do know, the Arctic air mass pushing in around New Year's will be substantial. This could bring some of the coldest temperatures from Florida to New England. We're talking about a significant cold snap. For those in the northern plains and Midwest, this Arctic blast could come with snow. How much? Too early to say with confidence, but the potential exists. Here's something I need you to understand about ice storms specifically. They're more dangerous than snowstorms in many ways. With snow, you can see it accumulating, to stay home. But with ice, it's deceptive. Roads look wet, not icy. Black ice forms. You don't see it until you're sliding. And if power lines come down, you could be without electricity for days. In winter, during a cold snap, this is why preparation matters. If you live in Pennsylvania, Maryland, Wisconsin, or Michigan, here's what you should do before Friday. Fill your gas tank. Charge your devices. Have flashlights and batteries ready. Make sure you have enough food for a few days in case you can't get out. If you're traveling through these areas Friday or Saturday, consider leaving earlier or waiting until Sunday. Those 48 hours could be the difference between a smooth trip and a dangerous situation. For those in the Northeast, particularly New York and New Jersey, the snow totals might not be catastrophic, but combined with ice and sleet, travel will be hazardous. If you can delay your trip, do it. Now, let me share something that keeps me up at night. Not in fear, but in concern. We're seeing weather patterns that occur once in a generation. The warmest Christmas on record, followed by an Arctic blast, followed by complex winter storms. Individually, these events are manageable. But when they happen in rapid succession, the stress on infrastructure increases. Power grids work harder during temperature extremes. Road crews struggle to keep up with changing conditions. This is why community matters. Check on your neighbors, especially elderly ones. Make sure they have heat. Make sure they have food. This is biblical love in action. 1 John 3:17 says, "But if anyone has the world's goods and sees his brother in need, yet closes his heart against him, how does God's love abide in him?" Practical preparation is spiritual responsibility. Let's return to the forecast specifics because details matter. The Wisconsin ice event deserves special attention. From Wausau to Green Bay and across Michigan, we could see glazing to 1/10 of an inch. Some models suggest more significant accumulation is possible. Detroit and Kalamazoo are particular concern areas. I'm not certain we'll see a widespread 1/2 inch of ice. That would be catastrophic. But 1/10 to 1/4 of an inch across a broad area, that's definitely on the table. Power companies in these regions should be on high alert. This is the type of event that causes widespread outages. For the West Coast flooding, I cannot stress this enough. If you live near the Palisades burn scar or in areas north of Los Angeles at higher elevations, take this seriously. 3 to 6 inches of rain is expected broadly across the Sierra Nevada where snow doesn't fall. But in that band north of Los Angeles, 10 to 15 inches in 48 hours is catastrophic by any measure. This is a high-risk flash flood event. Debris flows can happen suddenly. They move fast. They're deadly. If authorities issue evacuation orders, follow them immediately. Remember, in Matthew 7:25, Jesus describes the wise builder. And the rain fell, and the floods came, and the winds blew and beat on that house, but it did not fall, because it had been founded on the rock. Wisdom means preparing. It means taking action before the storm arrives. Now, I want to address something about these temperature records we're breaking. 50 different locations will set new records this Christmas. That's not a small number. That's systematic. These records go back to the late 1800s. We're talking about 125 to 145 years of observations. To break that many records simultaneously suggests something significant is occurring in our climate patterns. I'm not here to push a political agenda. I'm here to report facts, and the fact is, this is unprecedented in modern record keeping. What does this mean for future winners? Nobody knows for certain. But patterns like this deserve attention and respect. Let's talk about the New England snow event on Christmas Day. Maine will see the most, 3 to 6 inches widespread. Southern Maine could get localized higher amounts. New Hampshire and Vermont also in the mix. This snow will be light and fluffy. Good for snowmen if you're in that region, but it will make travel slower. Roads will be slippery. If you're driving through New England Christmas Day, allow extra time. The Friday-Saturday storm in the same region is more substantial. We're looking at isolated areas potentially reaching 10 to 12 inches. Most areas will see 3 to 6 inches, but the addition of ice and sleet makes this more complex. Eastern Pennsylvania, New Jersey, Long Island, and southern New York will see the heaviest snow. 8 to 10 inches is the current realistic maximum, but again, winter storm predictions can change. Here's something meteorologists watch closely. When you have a sharp temperature gradient, a boundary between cold and warm air, that's where the heaviest precipitation occurs. That boundary is setting up right over the I-95 corridor. I-95 from Washington, D.C. through Baltimore, Philadelphia, New York, and up to Boston could all see significant impacts. This is one of the busiest highways in America. During one of the busiest travel periods, if you're planning to drive I-95 Friday or Saturday, I would strongly reconsider. Let me give you a timeline. Christmas Day is warm across most of the country. Wednesday, December 25th. Enjoy it. Record-breaking heat. Christmas night into early Thursday morning, the upper Midwest storm begins. Wisconsin and Michigan see the first impacts. Thursday, December 26th. The system moves east. Pennsylvania, New York, New Jersey start seeing snow, ice, and sleet. This continues through Friday. Saturday, December 28th, the system exits. Cold air floods in behind it. Sunday and Monday, Arctic air spreads south and east, the coldest air of the season so far. By New Year's Eve, Tuesday, December 31st, much of the country experiences well below average temperatures. Florida could see freezing conditions. This is your 7-day outlook. Use it to plan. Now, there's something beautiful in all of this chaos. God's creation is magnificent. The atmosphere, the jet stream, high-pressure systems, low-pressure systems, they all interact in ways that still amaze scientists. We can predict with reasonable accuracy what will happen 3 to 5 days out. But beyond that, it becomes more uncertain. This humbles us. It reminds us that for all our technology and knowledge, we're still dependent on forces beyond our control. Proverbs 16:9 says, "The heart of man plans his way, but the Lord establishes his steps. We make our forecasts, we prepare, but ultimately we trust." I want to address one more concern before we continue. Some of you watching this are worried. You have travel plans. You have family obligations. You're thinking, should I cancel? Should I risk it? Here's my advice. If you're traveling through the affected areas Thursday through Saturday, have a backup plan. Know where you can stop safely if conditions deteriorate. Keep emergency supplies in your car. Blankets, water, snacks, a charged phone. But don't live in fear. Live in wisdom. There's a difference. Fear is paralysis. Wisdom is preparation. The snow totals I mentioned earlier, 3 to 6 inches widespread with isolated 10 to 12 inch amounts, those are manageable if you're prepared. If you have good tires, if you drive slowly, if you're patient. The ice is more concerning. Ice doesn't care how good your tires are. Ice doesn't care how experienced you are. Ice is the great equalizer. So if ice is forecasted on your route, strongly consider waiting. One day's delay is worth it. Let's discuss the temperature pattern after this storm system. That Arctic blast I keep mentioning. It's not just cold, it's dramatically cold compared to what we're experiencing now. We go from 60 and 70 degree temperatures to 20s and 30s. In some areas, even teens. That's a 50-degree drop in 48 hours. Your body, your home, your car, they all need time to adjust to temperature changes. This rapid shift can cause problems. Pipes can freeze. Cars struggle to start. Heating systems work overtime. If you have an older home, check your insulation before the cold arrives. If you have exposed pipes, consider letting faucets drip when temperatures drop. These small actions prevent big problems. Ecclesiastes 3:1 reminds us, "For everything there is a season, and a time for every matter under heaven." We're transitioning from one season to another rapidly, but it's still following a pattern, even if that pattern feels extreme. The California flooding deserves more attention. I mentioned 10 to 15 inches north of Los Angeles. Let me put that in perspective. The average annual rainfall for Los Angeles is about 15 inches. For the entire year, This storm could drop that much in 2 days in some locations. When soil is already saturated, when burn scars can't absorb water, when terrain is steep, this creates the perfect conditions for catastrophic flooding. Emergency management teams in Southern California are preparing now. They're positioning resources. They're mapping evacuation routes. They're ready. If you're in these areas, sign up for emergency alerts on your phone. Know your evacuation routes. Have a go bag ready. A go bag should include important documents, medications, phone chargers, some cash, and a change of clothes. Keep it near your door. The Sierra Nevada snow is a different story. 100+ inches over 2 days is incredible for skiers and snowboarders, but it also means road closures, trapped travelers, avalanche danger in backcountry areas. If you're heading to the mountains this week, check road conditions constantly. Chains may be required, some roads may close entirely. And here's something crucial. If you get stuck in mountain snow, stay with your vehicle. Don't try to walk out. More people die trying to hike through snowstorms than those who stay with their cars. Let me return to the spiritual perspective for a moment. All this weather, all these patterns, they point to something bigger. They point to a creator who designed systems of incredible complexity and beauty. The water cycle alone is a miracle. Water evaporates from oceans, forms clouds, travels thousands of miles, falls as rain or snow, flows into rivers, returns to the ocean. Ecclesiastes 1:7 describes this. All streams run to the sea, but the sea is not full. To the place where the streams flow, there they flow again. This was written thousands of years ago. Yet it perfectly describes the water cycle we've only understood scientifically for a few centuries. These weather patterns we're tracking, they're part of that eternal cycle. Warm air rises, cool air sinks, high pressure, low pressure, heat and cold, summer and winter. It continues. It will continue. God promised it would. But that doesn't mean we shouldn't prepare. Noah built an ark because God warned him. Joseph stored grain because God showed him what was coming. Wisdom acts on information. You're getting information now. Use it wisely. The ice accumulation maps I mentioned earlier show concerning areas. Not catastrophic yet, but concerning. 1/10 of an inch of ice is enough to make driving dangerous. 1/4 of an inch is enough to bring down power lines. Road crews will treat major highways, but secondary roads, rural areas, those might not get attention until after the storm passes. If you live in rural Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania, or Maryland, you might be on your own for 24 to 48 hours. Make sure you can handle that. City dwellers have different concerns. Traffic becomes impossible during ice events. What normally takes 30 minutes takes 3 hours. Or you can't go at all. If you work in these affected areas, talk to your employer now about working from home Friday. Many companies are flexible during severe weather, but you need to ask early. Let me give you one more data point that's significant. The models have been inconsistent about this storm system. That's actually important information. When models agree, we're confident. When models disagree, uncertainty is high. Right now, there's disagreement about exact snow amounts and ice locations. What does this mean practically? It means the forecast could still change. It could get better, it could get worse. We won't know for certain until Wednesday or Thursday. That's why checking back tomorrow matters. That's why I'll have another video with updated information. Weather forecasting has improved dramatically over the past few decades. We're much better at predicting severe weather than we used to be. But we're not perfect. We can't be. The atmosphere is too complex. What we can do is give you probabilities. High probability of snow in the Northeast. Moderate probability of significant ice in the Midwest. High probability of Arctic air arriving by New Year's. You take those probabilities and make decisions. Some of you are thinking, this sounds scary. It's not meant to scare you. It's meant to inform you. There's a difference. Fear is something bad might happen and I'm powerless. Information is something challenging might happen, and here's how I prepare. You're not powerless. You have agency. You have choices. Choose to fill your gas tank. Choose to charge your devices. Choose to check on neighbors. Choose to delay travel if needed. Choose to trust God while taking practical action. 2 Timothy 1:7 says, "For God gave us a spirit not of fear, but of power and love and self-control." That's the approach we take to severe weather: power to act, love for others, self-control in our responses. Now let's talk about what happens after New Year's. The long-range forecast is uncertain, but we're not seeing indicators of major storms immediately after January 1st. What we are seeing is sustained cold. The Arctic air that arrives around New Year's likely sticks around for several days, maybe into the second week of January. This means heating bills increase. This means outdoor workers face difficult conditions. This means homeless populations need extra support. If you're part of a church or community organization, now is the time to plan winter assistance programs, cold weather shelters, warm meal services, heating bill assistance. These practical acts of love matter deeply. Matthew 25:35-36. For I was hungry and you gave me food. I was thirsty and you gave me drink. I was a stranger and you welcomed me. I was naked and you clothed me. Weather events create opportunities for ministry, for showing God's love in tangible ways. The warmest Christmas on record that we're experiencing this week will be remembered. People will talk about it for years. Remember that Christmas when it was 90 degrees? But they'll also remember who helped them when the ice storm hit, who checked on them during the Arctic blast, who was there when power went out. Be that person, be that neighbor, be that church, be that community. Let me give you specific cities to watch. For the ice storm: Green Bay, Wisconsin; Milwaukee; Detroit; Michigan; Kalamazoo; Erie; Pennsylvania; Pittsburgh. These cities are in the highest risk zone. For heavy snow: New York City, Newark, New Jersey; Long Island; Hartford, Connecticut. These areas could see 8 to 10 inches. For the combination of both: Scranton, Pennsylvania; Binghamton, New York; Albany. These locations might get snow and ice. If you live in or near these cities, pay very close attention to local forecasts starting Wednesday evening. For the West Coast: flood risk: Los Angeles County, particularly northern areas and mountains; Ventura County; Santa Barbara County. These are high-risk zones. For the Sierra Snow Tahoe area, Mammoth Mountain, Donner Pass, expect major accumulations and travel difficulties. And for the New Year's Arctic blast, everyone east of the Rockies should prepare. From the Canadian border to the Gulf Coast, it's coming. The temperatures on New Year's Eve and New Year's Day could be brutal: single digits in the northern plains, teens and 20s in the Midwest. Even Florida might see hard freezes. This is significant because citrus crops are sensitive to freezing temperatures. Orange groves, grapefruit. If temperatures drop low enough for long enough, crop damage occurs. For homeowners in the South who rarely see freezing weather, this is your warning. Protect outdoor plants, cover exposed pipes, bring pets inside. You're not used to this kind of cold. Your infrastructure isn't built for it. Take it seriously. Now, I want to address something important. Some people hear forecasts like this and think meteorologists are being dramatic. It's just weather, they say. Stop fear-mongering. Here's the thing. We're not trying to create fear. We're trying to save lives. Every winter, people die in weather-related incidents: car accidents on icy roads, heart attacks while shoveling snow, hypothermia when power goes out. These deaths are often preventable. If people had prepared, if people had stayed home, if people had taken warnings seriously. So yes, we're being emphatic. Yes, we're being detailed, because lives matter. Your life matters. The forecast I'm giving you is based on data: computer models, satellite imagery, weather balloons, radar, ocean temperatures, jet stream analysis. This is science, this is math, this is physics. It's not guesswork. And when multiple models agree that a significant weather event is coming, we tell you, loudly, clearly, repeatedly, because that's our job: to inform, to warn, to help you prepare. In Old Testament times, prophets warned people of coming danger, sometimes physical danger, sometimes spiritual danger. We're not prophets in that sense, but we do see what's coming. We do have information, and we have a responsibility to share it. Ezekiel 3:17 says, "Son of man, I have made you a watchman for the house of Israel. Whenever you hear a word from my mouth, you shall give them warning from me. I'm a watchman on the weather wall. I see the storm coming. I'm warning you. Take the warning seriously. Let's review the key points one more time because repetition helps retention. Christmas Day, warmest on record for much of the country. 50 cities break temperature records, some areas near 90 degrees. Christmas night through Thursday, upper Midwest storm begins. Wisconsin and Michigan see snow and ice. Friday, storm moves to northeast. Pennsylvania, New York, New Jersey affected snow, ice, and sleet combination. Saturday, storm exits. Cold air floods in. New Year's Eve and day Arctic blast hits. Coldest air of the season. From Florida to Maine. That's your timeline. Mark it, plan around it. For those traveling, here are the most dangerous travel days. Thursday, December 26th through Saturday, December 28th in the Midwest and Northeast. The safest travel days? Christmas Day itself, Sunday, December 29th after the storm clears. If you can adjust your plans to travel on safer days, do it. Now, before we close, I want to talk about long-term patterns. This winter has been unusual from the start. Warmer than average overall. Less snow than normal in most areas. That pattern seems to be continuing. Extreme warmth for Christmas, then a cold shot, then possibly back to warmer than average in mid-January. These swings, warm to cold and back again, are becoming more common. Whether that's natural variability or climate change or both, I won't speculate. What I will say is this. We need to be prepared for increasing weather volatility. More extremes, less predictable patterns. That doesn't mean panic. It means adaptation. It means resilience. It means community. Strong communities weather storms better than isolated individuals, literally and figuratively. Build those connections now. Know your neighbors. Join local groups. Be part of something bigger than yourself. When the power goes out, you'll be glad you did. Let me close with this thought. Weather humbles us. It reminds us we're not in control. It reminds us we're dependent on systems beyond our manipulation. But it also reveals God's faithfulness. The sun rises every day. Rain falls in season. Cold and heat, summer and winter, day and night continue. This Christmas will be the warmest on record. Next week will bring Arctic cold. Spring will come eventually. Summer will follow. The patterns continue. God's promise holds. Prepare practically, trust spiritually, help your neighbor, stay informed. Check back tomorrow for updated forecasts. Things will become clearer as we get closer to these events. Make sure you're ready. Make sure your family is ready. Make sure your community is ready. This is going to be a week to remember. Let's get through it safely together. And remember, the hey nut part of this video appears at the 3-minute 20 mark when we break down those 3 storm systems. If you skipped ahead, go back and watch it. That's where the critical details are. Share this information with family and friends in affected areas. Knowledge saves lives. Stay safe out there. Be wise, be prepared, and may God bless you through this challenging weather week ahead.